Hello everybody, welcome to another video. I am at the Massachusetts Statehouse, as you can see right there with the golden dome. And the reason I'm at the Statehouse today is because for my school's project week, am interning for my representative, Adrian Madaro. And so I'm going to be shadowing him and his legislative aides. I did it yesterday, and I'm going to do it today and tomorrow as well. And I shadowed him yesterday, and then I came home, and then I was talking all about it to like my parents and stuff. And then my dad was like, "Oh, wait a minute, why don't you make a Slade video out of your time here at the State House?" And my mom was like, "Yeah, you should definitely do that." And I was like, that would be a pretty good idea. So yeah, here I am at the State House. And yeah, as I go throughout the day today, I'm gonna be videoing things that happen. So gonna be going in right now, and yeah, let's see how it goes. So I'm walking in right now through the General Hooker entrance. I've always thought that was a bit of a funny name. Anytime I've come to like a State House with friends or like with a community organization or to like testify or something, they've always had great fun looking at that name, the General Hooker entrance. So I'm walking up the steps, and so I'm gonna go through security, and then after that I'm gonna be walking to the legislator's office, and then I'll see if once I get there I can give you guys like a small tour or like introduce you to some of his legislative aides. And yeah, so I'll see you guys after I get through. All right, I made it past security, and so on my long walk to the legislator's office, I guess I'll just tell you a little bit about him. So the representative is he represents East Boston, which is Boston, Suffolk County's first district. The reason I was actually able to intern for him is because he works really closely with an organization in East Boston that I work with very closely. It's called Easty Farm. And when I was reaching out to people to shadow or like do my thing. Oh, hello, Tom.
How's it going?
Doing well. Yeah, that's Tom, another legislative aide of Representative Madaro. But anyways, back to the story. So when I was reaching out to people for Project Week, the first person I thought to reach out to was him, because I figured I'd met him a lot. I've talked to him a lot about the community work he's done and how he's worked with Easty Farm a lot. But I figured I want to work with him so I could sort of just get to see like what the daily life of a representative and his legislative aides, what does that exactly look like? So out of my curiosity for that subject, I reached out to the representative to see if he would be willing to have me shadow him and his legislative aides. And they got back to me really promptly, actually. And, oh, hello. And they said that, yeah, they'd be happy to have me over at the State House. And I actually did this all the way back in October. So I've been prepared for a while now. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what's coming next. I feel I should also talk about what I did yesterday. So yesterday I came into the office. They just gave me the orientation and everything of sort of what goes on, what I'm expected to do as quote unquote intern. I'm not exactly interning. It's more like shadowing for just 3 days, but sort of what I'm expected to do in that role. And yeah, I got to just ask the legislative aide, Marcella, just a couple of questions and stuff like that. And I also got to attend a hearing that the representative was chairing, because he is the chair of, as you can see right there, the chair of the House Committee on Revenue, says right there, Adrian Madaro. So yeah, that's sort of what I was doing yesterday. And I guess we'll walk in the office and see what I'm gonna be doing today. House Committee on Revenue. Sorry the camera keeps blurring. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, there we go. Representative Adrian. Representative Adrian Madaro.
Industrial personal property, not for residential. The city estimates that if this does not go through, the average residential tax bill will increase by 18.4%. This is a step down from what we've been allowed to do to if that doesn't continue. That's about $1,300 per resident. I'm here with a panel including the Watertown City Council President, City Manager, City Assessor, and I am going to pass this on to my colleague from West Watertown, John Long.
Thank you, Rep. Owens, and thank you, Chair Elders and Chair Madaro, and the committee for allowing us to present the unique circumstances of why we are here today for the city of Watertown. Having grown up in the town, and still living there today, Watertown is a much different place than it was in the early 80s when Proposition 2.5 came into play. At that point, and you'll hear that at that point, each city town in Massachusetts was frozen at the rates of what your commercial and residential tax levy could be. Watertown has experienced a great deal of commercial.
Wait, Steven, can I just ask you a few quick questions real quick? Because I have to compile my project report for my project week, which is why I'm shadowing here.
Yeah. What's up?
So, can you just introduce yourself for the camera real quick?
So my name's Steven Gingra. I'm the legislative director for Representative Madaro. So my job is to assist him with, all sorts of things in the district, the neighborhood. But in addition to that, helping him out with all of his, arranging all of his bills, tracking legislation in the House, helping with budget items, things like that.
Nice. What's your favorite thing about working at the State House?
Well, I've always loved, the legislative process, how bills move through things, how, things become laws, how, the state is governed, that kind of thing. And I especially like being able to work for Representative Madaro because I live and grew up in East Boston. So it's great to be doing all of that for my own community and help, working on behalf of my own community and the people I grew up with.
That's great. Anything else you'd like to say?
I can't think of anything else at the moment. I mean, it's been great working here. I have terrific coworkers. It's a great building, and we do some exciting stuff. Love working for East Boston, and glad to have you on this week.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Absolutely.
All right, hello everybody. We are on the way to I heard it's a Healthy Families briefing where this is Steven, the legislative director for Adrian Madaro. Yes. And this is Catherine, who's an intern. And yeah, we're heading off to this briefing where Tom, that's where he is. So I guess we'll just go there, see what's up, see if I can get a video of what's happening there. So I'll be back with you in just 1 second.
Let them know. We saw that less than 10% of the people drawing not qualify for it. And the impact could be huge. More than $7 million injected to the economy. We our seniors, which they are in the wrong state of their life. So we work hard. So the community, and I'm supporting, Angela. I'm supporting bills such as giving taxpayers the opportunity, evidence like having behind, giving taxpayers the chance of apply for
an offering compromise.
offering settlement.
Yeah.
How's everything going? Everything is okay. Looking to you can set the meeting with the boss.
Oh, they have food? They didn't let us be in here, you know? Do you ever wonder if You're totally right. Site visits, any kind of local press or media attention it could get, just
Alright guys, so I just finished up the Healthy Families briefing. So essentially what it was about is a coalition, the Healthy Families Tax Coalition, basically just came to talk about sort of what they do and with the state legislature budget coming out soon. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, with that coming out soon, they're basically talking a lot about their budget ask and also one of the things that they talked about a lot was this support, hopefully you can read that, support tax credit fairness. And they talked a lot about how they could help sort of low-income families find tax credits that they're eligible for that could help them get money that they might not have known that they could get. They might not have known that they would be eligible for these tax credits. So the Healthy Families Tax Credit Coalition sort of helps them to find these tax credits and see if they're eligible for that. And the reason that a lot of Representative Madaro's legislative aides attended this briefing was because this could be really helpful for people living in East Boston due to its low-income demographic. And because of that, a lot of people living in East Boston would likely benefit from the services of this Healthy Families Tax Credits Coalition. So yeah, that's sort of what happened at the briefing, and now we'll be heading back to the representative's office. All right. Hello, everybody. Today I'm talking with Tom, who's a member of Adrian Madaro's office. Tom, could you just talk a little bit about what you do in his office?
Absolutely. So my name's Tom Baranowski. I'm the research director for Adrian under his umbrella as chair of the Revenue Committee. And so my primary role is to primarily facilitate the public hearing process and ensure that anyone who wants to come in and testify on a potential piece of legislation has the chance to do so. Another portion of my role is creating public-facing summaries for all the legislation that is put before the Revenue Committee, which is one of the larger joint committees that the State House has. We have typically just under 500 bills compared to the vast majority of committees having roughly 100, 80 to 100. So it is definitely a busy time, and it's an exciting and concerning time right now with the federal uncertainty that Massachusetts faces. And so as part of that role, we make sure that advocates have the chance to come in and make their case for certain bills that we have, and that we are presenting the most accurate information possible to the membership and to the chairs.
Great. Just a bit of a follow-up question. You mentioned the federal uncertainty that's appeared as of late. How has that changed sort of how or what you do here in the office and sort of how things happen around here?
I don't think it has necessarily changed much in the sense of process, but we have definitely had a lot of conversations with the Department of Revenue trying to get our heads around exactly what kind of fiscal shortfall Massachusetts might be facing. And I know that the governor has filed a bill to address some of the federal changes through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which is being referred to as the OB3, which I kind of like. It's very concise. And so that is something that the committee will likely hold a hearing on in the very near future. So it's definitely kept us quite busy, and we're doing our best to give the most accurate information possible to the members in order to inform how they want to act.
Very nice. What's your favorite part of working at the State House?
I think my favorite part of working at the State House is the marble steps are excellent, and it's cool how worn down they are from the generations of legislators and legislative staff that have walked them before. And I think my second favorite part is being mistaken for Adrian and people telling me I look like his son.
Yeah. I definitely see what you mean with like the wearing down of the stairs. Like anytime I walk on them, you can see like the depressions where like everybody has stepped
I fell
along.
down them my first week. I haven't made that mistake again.
Dang. How does it feel to commute here? Because I realize like you live so far away from the State House, so.
It's a bit of an adventure. I think it's more of a decision when it comes to taking the commuter rail rather than driving in. It's more of a decision for my blood pressure than anything else, because I know that doing that day in, day out, Methuen's only 30 minutes from Boston on a good day, but on any morning it's at least an hour and a half. So it's an adventure, but it's nice to kind of see the outskirts of the MBTA system when it comes to the commuter rail, and the improvements that have been made there in the last year or two have been really nice.
Yeah, I believe that's one of the representative's priorities as well, advocating for a better T. So good to see some improvements there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, anything else you'd like to say?
No, I think that about does it.
All right, nice, perfect. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too.
Alright guys, I'm leaving now because I gotta go to my mock trial event. So I'm gonna get lunch with a friend. So yeah, this was today my time at the State House on Wednesday, and see how it goes tomorrow.
Thank you. Adrian Madaro, State Rep in East Boston, and the chair of the Revenue Committee in the House, which is why I'm here today. Thank you. Adrian Madaro, nice to see you. Likewise. Yes. Yes. Thank you both for being here. All important stuff. We all fund all that stuff in the state budget. It's important stuff. So. Yes, the ITC as well. Yeah. Where are you guys based out of? I'm from Congress. A little bit of drive, huh? It was tough for me. That way I should come through the tunnel. Get out what I do. Okay, it's not bad. Although still not easy, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
See?
Can be seen as mini stimulus packages for those local communities. So let me stop there and ask our partner, Brian, to say a few words.
Thank you, Joe, so much. So this is like perfect for me height. So I'm going to think that Joe touched on the kind of widespread impact of this work, the numbers. I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of one-on-one impact, what we see at our tax sites, and just underscore that this work is incredibly effective, but it's also incredibly human. At the local level, I see every day that free tax help isn't just about filing returns. It's about helping families keep what they earn and stabilize their lives. The people coming to our VITA sites are often juggling 2 jobs, rising costs of caregiving, and for many of them, their tax refund is the largest single influx of cash of income that those receive for the entire year. When a family accesses the EITC or Child and Family Tax Credit through VITA, that refund goes straight to rent, it goes to utilities, groceries, catching up on bills, or building a small cushion for the future. It also goes towards education, job training, things that help us all get ahead.
I'll be eagerly watching your comedy duet career unfold from here on. I think I speak for all of us when I say that we're incredibly grateful for your enduring leadership and dedication to the taxpayers of the Commonwealth. Though most of the folks in this room engage directly with VITA services on a day-to-day level, we have many amazing advocates working behind the scenes to institute equitable tax legislation and support the constituents and organizations that set financial empowerment programming in motion. One legislator in particular has been extremely supportive of equitable tax code and VITA services in the Commonwealth, both as a friend to his constituency in my hood, East Boston, and as a revenue expert. I'm honored to welcome the state representative for the 1st Suffolk District, Adrian Madaro.
Pulling the China shop. Good morning, everyone. How about a round of applause for Rachel? It's not easy to MC any type of program. Again, my name is Adrian Madaro. Very proud to be the state representative for my hometown, East Boston, and also proud to serve as the House Chair of the Joint Committee on Revenue at the State House, which is what brings me here to Codman Square. And this beautiful building, which I've never had the privilege of being in. So, to my friends on this side of the tunnel, thank you for welcoming an Eastie kid here. And to my friends at the Codman Square Health Center, thank you for hosting this important event. So, why is this program necessary? I mean, I think it's pretty simple. For many families, including I think for many of us, tax season can be a really massive source of stress, especially in this current climate that we're operating in. This program offers stability, trust, and support for people navigating an incredibly complicated, high-stakes tax system. And as we all know, we're living in very challenging times. I know my neighbors in East Boston feel this daily with the impacts of the federal administration and their attack on our community and our neighbors. And for many low-income and working families, finances are just extremely tight. As anyone who's spent time in a tax clinic knows, even something as small as an unexpected bill can have unbelievably serious consequences on a family's finances. Therefore, free and reliable tax help can absolutely make a world of difference for people to keep a roof over their head and for people to keep food on their table. This program provides families in East Boston and across the city and the Commonwealth with free, high-quality tax preparation, access to critical tax credits that families already qualify for, but many don't know, right? And financial education to help people plan beyond this current tax season. Families use these refunds to respond to urgent bills, to reduce their debt, and begin saving for their financial future. And those same refund dollars flow directly back into our local communities through rent, childcare, groceries, small business patronage, you name it. This is why the legislature, to Joe's point, we will remain committed to funding VITA, the EITC, the CFTC, because that's how we support the critical work you all do in our communities. That's how we can support our most vulnerable constituents. In closing, this program launch is about meeting families where they are, helping people claim funds they've rightfully earned, and understand how to use them to best support themselves and their families. I encourage everyone who's eligible for this program, not only to take advantage of it, but to please spread the word. Friends, families, neighbors, colleagues. The more folks who know about this service, the more folks who can benefit. It's that simple. And I don't mean to put more work on the volunteers, but I think we want more work, right? We want more people engaging and participating in this program. When families have the tools, knowledge, and support they need, entire communities are stronger for it. So
Hello everybody. So I just arrived at the State House after quite an eventful morning. So basically, to break it down, the rep picked me up from my apartment in Eastie and we went to Dorchester for a free tax launch event where basically the Boston Tax Help Coalition and MassCap, or the Massachusetts Association of Community Action, held sort of like a free tax launch event. Once I get past security, I can basically talk about what that is on my way to the office. But yeah, see you guys in a bit. Hello guys, I am back at the State House. So it's been a while since I entered, and that's because I've actually been in the Senate formal session. Yeah, that's been happening for a while, and they've been in recess for quite a long time. So I've been getting bored, so I've just gone to use the bathroom. But yeah, on my way back to the room, I'll tell you guys about the free tax launch event that I went to. So, okay guys, on my way back to the Senate chamber, I'll just tell you guys quickly about the tax event that I attended in Dorchester. A lot of people giving remarks at the event talked about the services of these two organizations holding this event. And one organization in particular, Action for Boston Community Development, that is one of the organizations in sort of bridging together MassCap, which is the Massachusetts Association of Community Action, and the BTHC, the Boston Tax Help Coalition. They were basically talking a lot about how they can help like moderate to low income families. They can basically help them file their taxes, since hiring someone to file taxes like for you isn't inexpensive. And so ABCD sort of helps with that service. So that was a lot of what was talked about at the free tax launch. And yeah, Senator Madaro went there and he gave a few remarks of his own. So that's what I was doing there. We grabbed lunch, and now I'm back at the State House to watch the Senate formal session. And unfortunately, as you can see there is no photography, so I won't be able to take videos in there. So yeah, see you guys later. All right, hello guys. So I decided to leave the Senate formal session since they'd been in recess for a while, and the security guard said that they might not get out of recess for a while. So I'm heading back to
First
Madaro's
floor,
office,
going
and then
down.
when they're done, when they're back in session, I'll return to the hearing room. So yeah. All right, hello everybody. So I'm glad I decided not to stay in the Senate chamber, because they were in recess for like a long time, like probably upwards of an hour or something. And apparently that's that's quite common because according to Steven, the legislative director, who I think you might have seen in that one interview I did, he said that there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that happens during like these recesses. People like discuss how they're gonna vote and what they're gonna do once like recess is done, and yeah, just stuff like that. But so after that I headed back to the rep's office, asked some more questions about like maybe upcoming events that would be happening at the State House, like budget week, when the House and the Senate finish editing and like publish their respective budgets. And yeah, sort of when that all happens, that's very busy, just budget season in general, as well as July 31st, which is when which is like the last day that any new bills can be like I forget if it's filed or passed, but bills that are like already in the process of being passed, they don't have to be held to that deadline. If they've already like been filed, they've had a hearing, stuff like that, then they don't have to adhere to the July 31st deadline. So yeah, we sort of just talked about that. We saw a mouse. I think I saw a mouse scurry around the office as well. There's been a bit of a mice problem in the State House. But yeah, after that I am now leaving, which marks the end of my project week time here at the Massachusetts State House. So yeah, I just want to thank Rep. Madaro, as well as all his legislative aides for just letting me shadow here at this wonderful Massachusetts monument, or famous place, however you might want to call it. And yeah, I look forward to coming here again. So yeah, thank you for watching, and thank you for following me throughout my time here at the State House, and bye. All right, hello everybody. So you may notice that I'm back in the recording studio here, and that is because you may have noticed that throughout my visit at the State House, I forgot to interview possibly the most important person of this entire State House visit. I interviewed his legislative director. I interviewed another one of his aides who's working under him in the Committee of Revenue, but I forgot to interview the person who I came to the State House to shadow most importantly. And that person is, I think you can probably guess it, he is Representative Adrian Madaro, who is the state rep for East Boston, working at the State House as the House chair for the Joint Committee on Revenue. So Adrian, if you like, you can just tell the audience a little bit about yourself if you think that description needs a little bit more foundation to it.
Thank you, Vedant. First of all, hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here. It's been a pleasure to have Vedant shadow us this week at the State House. He got to see some things in the building. He got to see some things outside of the building. And I hope that I hope that you, Vedant, got to experience kind of a little bit of the variety of what this job entails, because it's certainly a lot. But the only correction I would make is certainly I'm not the most important person to interview. As a former staffer, I was a staffer at the State House for my predecessor before I ran for office. I can tell you that the staff are by far the most important people, because without good staff, no elected official could do anything positive for their community or for the Commonwealth. So I'm glad that you got to also shadow my exceptional team. I'm glad you got to interview them. And nothing I'm able to achieve is possible without their hard work, commitment, and good heart and expertise. So, with that, please take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adrian, for just providing a little bit more information about yourself. I noticed that you said just then that you were a former staffer. You said, so what gave you the idea of running for the office of state rep in the first place?
It was through so first of all, to back up, I grew up in a family of community activists here in East Boston. And so while my family was never particularly political, they were very involved in fighting to make East Boston the safest, best place it can be. And in particular, my family was very involved in the environmental justice movement, trying to, help hold the airport accountable, as well as a whole host of other challenges that make us an environmental justice community. My first exposure to politics was in high school through an internship. I also, did something similar on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. And then I started working for my predecessor when I was still an undergrad at Tufts University. And, I think it was through that experience that I really saw how much good you can do in the community, how many people you can help, and how you can really leverage the powerful tools that government has at its disposal to kind of work in partnership and concert with community activists, advocates on the ground. And at the end, that collaboration, that partnership yields the best results for any community, whether it's East Boston or elsewhere. And for me, it's an immense privilege to now be the state rep for East Boston. I have been for a decade. Been able to help, so many of our neighbors on a variety of issues, and have also importantly been able to roll up my sleeves and partner with those very same community advocates and activists that I grew up around, that I worked with as a staffer, to keep East Boston moving forward. And so I love my job, and it's to me, Vedant, I ran because I wanted to help people. I wanted to improve East Boston. I wanted to do good work for the state. And I'm really proud that me and my team are able to do that every single day.
Yeah, and I feel like I've seen this firsthand because, as my viewers probably know, I do live in East Boston, and I spent a lot of time over the summer with this community organization in East Boston called Eastie Farm, and a lot of our community events. Representative Madaro has been present there, always lightening up the mood, sharing some of his wisdom and how he's helped Eastie Farm and other community organizations in Eastie really change the community for the better and just benefit so many of the people living here in East Boston. And so I am aware that because you are a state representative, you spent a lot of time working in the state house. You said it yourself. You've been a state rep for like about a decade, you said. So I guess my next question for you is just, what is your favorite part of just working in like the state house as a location?
Yeah, it has been a decade. I got elected quite young. I was 26 when I was elected. Um, it has been about 10 years now. I mean, I think my favorite part of this job is the same thing that drove me to run in the first place. It's the ability to help people. I love that I'm on the receiving end of so many phone calls that people in East Boston, when they run into an issue, they think of calling me or my team. Because we're able to actually help, and I want to be that person that's there to be able to help any of our neighbors, or at least try. And then I think some of the other things that I really enjoy about the job. First of all, it's very dynamic. I think, as you've witnessed this week, no one day is the same. Particularly in a week where we have a big snowstorm, and my kids are getting sick. My mother, my wife's getting sick. But so you came in a very interesting week generally. But beyond that, and I just love that, there are days that I'm in the state house. There are days that I'm out in the community. There are days that I'm out in other parts of the city or the state at speaking engagements or at meetings. So I love that aspect. And then probably my favorite part of the job in the state house is the people that I get to work with. I have an amazing staff. We always have awesome interns who really add a lot of a lot of excitement to the team. I love the people I get to partner with in the community, whether it's folks at Eastie Farm or any of the other number of amazing community-based local organizations we have in the neighborhood. And I love working with my colleagues. This is a business that, particularly in a state legislature where there's 200 of us between the House and the Senate, 160 being in the House, you have to develop strong relationships and trust with your colleagues in order to advance any issue, right? And I've really enjoyed taking time over the years I've been in the building to develop those relationships. For many of these folks, they're not just colleagues; they're personal friends. In that friendship, that partnership, just like the partnership and friendship with folks on the ground in the community, really does lead to positive results, whether it's locally in East Boston or across the whole Commonwealth. And I really do enjoy the people I get to work with.
That's great. Yeah, I feel like that's the best part of the job. It's like not just fulfilling the duty of the job itself, but also enjoying the experiences that come along with it, the people that you get to meet along the way. I know that might sound a little cliched, but it is true.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for mentioning that. And as a little bit of a follow-up question, you mentioned working with your colleagues, like having to work with your colleagues a lot during your time at the state house and being a state rep while having to pass legislation. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on that and sort of expand a bit on how working with other of your fellow colleagues at the state house has helped you to pass legislation and gain support for bills that you
Absolutely.
and these other legislators support.
So, Vedant, I mean, you could have the best idea since sliced bread, right? But if you can't build a coalition and support around it, it's never going to get anywhere because you need to convince a bunch of other people who are also duly elected by their constituents that this idea has merit. And oftentimes you need to actually take the time to get to know someone, understand, what issues they matter to them, what makes them tick, what's important to their district. And through that process, you figure out how to best partner with people, where you see alignment, where you might see natural partnerships, where there might be some difference of opinion that maybe open your perspective and eyes up to how others outside of East Boston or outside of your particular district or your particular bubble think. That type of coalition building, and it's not just amongst colleagues, it has to be amongst advocates as well. That type of coalition building is essential to getting any good policy passed, and that is part of the process. And I mean that's a part of the process that I deeply value because those relationships are not just about passing legislation, right? Those relationships, my colleagues and I lean on each other for constituent issues, for policy matters, similar to the people that I work with in East Boston. You were at an event with me just yesterday, and we heard from the CEO and president of ABCD, the largest anti-poverty agency in the city of Boston. I can't tell you how closely my staff partners with them. We refer cases to them all the time because they do work on the ground in our community, right? So these partnerships, whether they're between colleagues in elected office, whether they're between staff of elected officials, whether they're between community organizers and advocates and activists and government, all of it matters. All of it results in a better, stronger Commonwealth.
Yeah, that's true. I also like, once again, when you're talking about how you're working with your colleagues to create all these waves for change and all these different community organizations out there, it sort of reminds me, it's like the power of many is much more than the power over one. And it's like what you started by saying is like you could have the best idea since sliced bread, but unless you can gather support for it and sort of convene with other legislators to show that this is actually the best idea since sliced bread, and that it's gonna benefit the Commonwealth as much as you say it's going to, then unfortunately it might not get passed into the way. It might not get passed, or stuff might not be done with it the way that you would want it to be.
Yeah, and nothing gets done alone, Vedant. I think it's important to keep in mind, I'm an urban legislator, right? I'm born and raised in the city of Boston. My entire lived experience is in a densely populated urban environment. I don't necessarily look at issues the same way as my colleagues who are from suburban areas or from rural areas might look at things, right? But having those conversations, opening those lines of dialogue up, and being willing to listen to different perspectives, it really does help you see things more holistically. And it really helps ground any policy we're working on. It helps ground it to make sure that it works for everyone in Massachusetts, not just for those who live in a city, or those who live in a rural environment, or those who live in the suburbs, or those who live, down the Cape or in the Berkshires, right? I mean, really, when you're in the state legislature, any vote we take on a law, it impacts everyone in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, right? And it's necessary to have those conversations with colleagues from across the state who come from different types of places, who may have different priorities, in order to make sure that that we're moving in the right direction, the direction that we should be, the direction that is reflective of the priorities of the state as a whole, not just the priorities of my folks in Eastie, which matters to me a lot, and that's something that I'll always elevate at the State House, but. Those conversations really are important, and I think they should happen more often, frankly, particularly down in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I just want to say this again. I'm just glad that I've been able to be at the State House for as long as I was and just gain all this wisdom from you and all this knowledge sort of about how you go about your day, and about how you said about how every day is a new day and a completely different day than the day was before, or the days that will come. And yeah, I've just been glad that I've been able to be at the State House for 2.5, 3 days to sort of see how you sort of navigate your time there and how you work with other colleagues to create change in the Commonwealth and pass legislation that creates this change. So yeah.
Pleasure to have you, Vedant. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Anything else you'd like to say before we end our time here?
For those of you who aren't familiar with East Boston, come check us out. We have great restaurants, amazing parks, and most importantly, the best people around, like Vedant. So yeah, please come check us out. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the work at the State House, you always have an open door to my office, and I'm happy to show you around and give you a little bit of an understanding, like Vedant got, of how things work in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and in the Massachusetts State House.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rep Madaro. I'm aware you got places to be, you got things to do. So I'll let you get back to that. And I just want to thank you for creating some time in your schedule to do this interview. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for not only this interview, but for spending some time with us this week, Vedant. It's really been a pleasure. And importantly than all this, I just have to say, for a young man who is in high school, the way you have rolled up your sleeves and gotten involved in our community through Eastie Farm and other initiatives. I told you this before, but I think it bears repeating. Very impressive, and you're making us very proud.
Thank you. I wouldn't be able to do it without you and all your wisdom and everything you're doing for the Commonwealth. So I just want to thank you for what you're doing there. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I hope you have a good time. So thank you everybody for watching. Yeah, and thank you for doing the interview, and have a good weekend.
Thanks, folks.